Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. This is Suhail, your host from Virtual Ubiquitous Academy. I hope you have understand the previous concept of Java Enterprise Edition basic introduction of the technology, and this time I am here to present you a web tier. Before starting a web tier, we will start introduction of web application and some basic web technologies. What a web application is. In daily life you use some websites, some application through internet using your Internet Explorer, Chrome or any other browser like Firefox. So web application is some piece of code which run on server and some user connected to that server from remote, like you connect to Hotmail, you connect to Gmail. So that is a web application. Once you connect to any of the website, you are in fact accessing a web application. And what protocol you are using, that protocol is HTTP protocol, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. I hope you are familiar with this word. So this is the same HTTP which you write before accessing any website, like http www.hotmail.com or facebook.com, whatever. So this is a protocol. HTTP is a stateless request response communication model or communication protocol, where a client, which is a normally web browser, it send request to server and server responds back with some appropriate user interface, some text or some error message. We will see in detail what are error messages which server can send to us. Maybe you have a lot of time you see that page not found, 403 error, server not responding. These are some errors are there. So you send request to server through your web browser and server responds back. Web servers is a software which provide user access to the service that are present on internet. So this is a software whom you request to send you some UI or some text when you hit some user URI or URL like hotmail.com or facebook.com. So server send you some response or generate some output for you in a simple word. This is how you communicate with the server through HTTP. One client send request or some secure HTTP protocol, and this server responds you back. Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This is some application protocol for distributed collaborative hypermedia information system. HTTP is foundation of data communication for World Wide Web. So this is standard or or foundation of data communication for your World Wide Web. Any document through www over the World Wide Web is sent through Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So here first we need to understand what is this hypertext. Hypertext is in fact a text which contain link to other text. So you know what is the web? Web is in fact some documents which are containing the links of some other documents. So this is very normal, common thing when you see any website or when you browse any website, you see hypertext over there. Whatever text you are seeing over there, that is hypertext. So from hypertext there is another term that is called hypermedia. This is extension of hypertext. It is a non-linear medium of information which include graphic, audio, video, plain text and hyperlinks. So now all hypertext is in fact comes under the hypermedia, which include the types which I already told you, including graphics, audio, video and plain text. Even hyperlinks are there. HTTP is called stateless protocol. Why? Because each command is executed independently without any knowledge of command that came before. You send one request, you hit again, you send another request. So it is a stateless. One request doesn't know about other request. This is main reason that it is difficult to implement website that react intelligently to user input, because HTTP is a stateless protocol, so we cannot track the state of any user or any request. So that was some shortcoming of HTTP protocol, and this caused some new technology like JavaScripting, ActiveX, cookies, VB scripting. So these are client-side scripting languages which track any client action like click, mouse over, and some other anything which client is doing on client side. So it happen on browser. So these languages, these technologies are supported by your web browser and interpreted and compiled by your web browser. Now what we see, what is HTTP message? As we talked earlier slide, that HTTP send request to server and server send back response. So HTTP message has two parts. One is request and second is response. So we will see what are the parts of any HTTP request. There are some request method. It tells server the type of action that is client want to perform, like post, get, head, put, delete, connect, option, and trace. These are different methods which any request belongs to. Any request can be a post, can be a get, or any other. Mostly post and get request is used. We will see in next slide what are these requests, these request types. So next is URI, Uniform Resource Indicator, that specify the address of required document for resource. So it means request contain that which resource you are going to hit. Suppose you have hotmail.com, you are accessing hotmail.com, so URI will be hotmail.com. There are some header field of a request. So these are some optional header that can be used by client to tell server some extra information about request, like client software, content type. Suppose you are going to access, or you are uploading some file to the server. So your header information will contain that this request contains some file. You are sending some suppose Excel file. So you tell that the content type is something like Excel, some PDF file. So this is where you tell to server, that you tell in your header field of the HTTP request. Then body, it contains the data sent by client to the server. So this is the real data which you send to the server. Suppose you are sending a form to the server to submit somewhere, to save in the database, or doing some operation, sending email. So that is the body of your request. Then there are some request parameter. So these parameters are like, see, there are gmail.com, register name is equals to Ali, state is equals to Punjab. So this means that you are sending a URI to www.gmail.com/register is a resource, and you say that these are two parameters which you are sending. So these will be part of your request. Here are these parameters. So how we add parameter into request? After your resource, which is just accepting the parameter, add a question mark, then say your parameter is equals to parameter value. If you are going to add more than one parameter, then you add these parameter with ampersand. Ampersand state is equals to Punjab, ampersand gender is equals to male, ampersand whatever you want to add. You can add so many parameters with some ampersand. So these are request parameter. Next, once you send a request, server processes this request and it returns you response. Suppose you enter your user and password and hit on sign in button. So you send your password, server process it, validate your user and password, and send back your response. That may be a one message that welcome to your server or welcome your hotmail.com, and forward to your inbox where you can see your mail. That is response from server. So part of HTTP response is result code, a numeric status code, that your request is successful or not successful, or whatever your request status is, that is your result code. Then again, header fields are there. It means that your server can send back you HTTP response. Server can, if you are going to access a file from server, suppose that is a PDF file, then your content type will be your that PDF format, so that will be in header. Then body is the data that server send you, and that data is print on your web browser, and mostly this data is your HTML code which paint on your web browser. Oh, sorry, on yes, exactly, which paint on your web browser. So these are some response codes. One is code 100 to 199. These codes are informational, like indicating that the client should respond with some other action. 100 is, it means if your request is partial, you are some process of your request, let's say continue with partial request. 200 to 290, these are successful request status. So it means if you are getting some request, some response of 200, code is 200, it means that it is successful request. Then there is some 300 to 399. This means the further action must be taken in order to complete the request. Then we have request 400 to 499. These are some errors by the client, and these are some very common codes which you must know, like 404 indicate that request resource is not available, that is response code 404. 401 indicate that request authentication problem, that you are not authorized to access particular page, and some is access denied, that is you cannot even acquire that resource, that is 403. And 401 you can acquire but you are not authorized. So these are some error code by the client. And 500 are some server code, like 503 indicate that the HTTP server is temporarily overloaded and unable to handle the request. So these are the code that you should aware of, that every response give you some code. Okay, this is what the start of the request method. I told that we will study the request method in upcoming slides, so that slide is here now. First is get method. Get method is used to retrieve information from a given server using a given URI. Request using get should only retrieve data and should have no other effect on data. So in previous slide we have seen some request parameter. So if we want those parameters, then our request method should be get. If we are not keeping our request parameter as a request method as a get, then we cannot access those parameters. These are parameter, this parameter. If you are going to send request and server want these parameter, then request type should be get. Head is same, but only transfer the status line and header section. So if your get method is if your request method is head, then you cannot send body, only head will go to the server. Post means a post request is used to send data to server, for example customer information file upload using HTTP forms. Wherever we are using forms, HTML form, the request method should be post. Remember this. Remember time and again, you need to remember it throughout your career, that if you are going to send a form, HTML form, then your request method should be post. Once we start coding, you must recall these things time and again. And if we want to access directly URL and its parameter, then your method should be get. Put is, it replaces the current representation of the target resource with the uploaded content. So with put, you this request, you create some file on server. Very simple. When you are going to method as a put, it means this request will create some file on a server, and if you are say delete, then it will delete a file from the server. So your request will be treated as a file, and then request can be deleted. If it is establishing a connection or creating a tunnel with the server, then a method should be connect, Then there is option and trace or some other method, and which option describe the communication option for the target resources, and trace perform message loop back test along the path to target resource. So it only trace is only for testing purpose. Mostly we will use get and post. Almost 95% or maybe more than 95% type of request is get or post. Now see, what is server-side programming? Web server pages are of two types. First of all, remember this. There are some static pages and there are some dynamic pages. Static web page is simple HTML, hypertext transfer protocol, hypertext transfer language, HTML. It is a simple HTML file. When a client requests an HTML page, the server simple send back response with the required page. You say, I want abc.html. You hit your server.com/abc.html. It will give you response. It will give you HTML of that particular page. But what are dynamic here? A dynamic web pages, server execute an application with generate HTML. Web pages according to the specific request coming from client. So you send server that generates some HTML for me, and then server execute that application to generate HTML for you. These dynamically generated web pages are sent back to client with the response. So we will see in our servlet or dynamic web pages, we write some Java code, then we hit that's Java code through our HTTP protocol, and that Java code send back you response as a HTML, and you will see those HTML on your web page. So I hope you understand the difference between static and dynamic. Static content are only HTML files. You hit those files and it comes back without any processing. And dynamic, you send server request that generate some code for me, and then it generate for you. Suppose I say that I log into Hotmail or I log into Facebook. When I log into Facebook, I send that whatever posts are there on my wall, generate it on my web browser once I log in. But when you log in with that, what it does, it generate again a web page, but that web page belongs to your wall or your messages or your pictures. So that is a dynamic web page. It generate on request. There are some dynamic web content technologies, CGI, active server pages. CGI is C or C++ based. Then PHP, CFML, ASP.NET, and our focus Servlet and JSP. So these PHP and ASP, you are familiar with ASP and ASP.NET, or these are Microsoft technologies. CGI is C or C++ based. PHP is again open source technology, and Servlet, JSP are pure Java technologies. What a servlet is, this is where we are going to focus. Java servlet. A servlet is a small Java program that runs within a web server. So it means servlet is a Java program, so and it runs on a web server. So you need a web server and a Java language or Java language compiler which will compile your code. Servlet receive and respond to requests from web client. Again, this is it does the same thing what we studied earlier, that once a client or web browser hit to a web server, it receive a request and send back a response. Here is one client, a web browser, it send request to server and server responds back. So on this server, this JVM is deployed, and this JVM, this Java virtual machine, you know what is Java virtual machine? We studied in our lecture 1 that this is a runtime environment for running Java code, Java compiled code. So this is JVM. So this web server containing a JVM which is holding a servlet. you are going to request this servlet, and this servlet receive request and send request back to server and server request. So it means client is requesting to server, and server knows that this request is for this servlet, so this forward this request to your servlet, and servlet responds back to your web server, and this web server responds back to your client, and that page you can see the particular page over that. So servlet extend the functionality of server by generating HTML page dynamically. So this means this servlet, this is extending this functionality of this server. Servlet generate a code and response back to server, which responds back to client. We will see once our coding start that how it happened, but keep in mind these all things, these are technologies, how it is happening. Request and response, these are two major concepts of your full Java or any web application. So this is not only Java, this is not only .NET. Whatever web technology you will work, the concept till these slides are the same. Static web pages, dynamic web pages, request, header, error code, this is related to any of the technology. So from here we will core focus on our servlet and Java related technologies. What a servlet can do? Servlet can do anything that a Java class can do. For example, it can connect to database, it can read or write data from file, it can send email, it can generate anything which a Java code can do. It handle request by the user and generate response dynamically. These are normally HTML pages. The dynamically generated content is sent back to user through a web server. Same web concept. Send request by client, server or servlet receive it and generate a response for that particular client. That is what servlet can do. So we need some software for that. That is, you need Java Development Kit, JDK. Then we need Eclipse, Luna, that is IDE for Java, EE. Then we need a web server, two web server. One is Tomcat, second is Wildfly. Tomcat we use on small scales, so we will start with Tomcat, and then once we will just move further with our other technologies, then we can use Wildfly. Let's go to these websites and see what these websites or what are the interface of these website and what you are going to download from there. This is first link, that is oracle.com, and we will download JDK from here. So you can download from here Java. Here is your Windows version. If you have Windows 32-bit, then download this one. If you have Windows 64-bit, then download this one. If you have Linux, then you download this one. Depend on your Linux flavor. It's a RPM or it's a Red Hat, Ubuntu or any Linux, that depends. So our focus is Windows. So Windows 32-bit and Windows 64-bit. So you will download Java SE Development Kit only. Accept it and then download it. Second is Eclipse. Let me see why I'm not going to open this link. So this is open now. There is Java EE developer, Eclipse ID for Java EE developer. Again 32-bit or 64-bit, depend on your Windows architecture. The next one is Tomcat. Just download the version 8, that is latest right now, and download a zip file, this one. And that is the last one is Wildfly. You download it and keep it with you. We are not going to use it right now. Our focus will be Tomcat, but download this one. I have already downloaded for you to show you this thing. This is JDK, Eclipse Luna, 64-bit, Apache Tomcat. These are my versions, and I extracted my Eclipse. So Eclipse is there extracted. So my recommendation is keep your Eclipse in D drive or E drive, any drive, but I recommend D drive, and also Java over there. So the reason is that you will remember this path where you have saved it. So if you just going to install your JDK, then also keep this JDK on D drive or C drive, root main path. By default it will say you save in program files, then Java, though it will be very difficult for you to remember the path. So what personally I did, Java 7, I created one folder Java 7, and here I have installed. So I remember d:\Java 7, here is my Java, d:\Java runtime environment 7, here is my JRE or JVM. Then I say Tomcat 8, here is my Tomcat. So paths are easy for me to remember. So I recommend you that keep like that. So here is my d:\Eclipse. So I know I have installed it here. I will only directly run it from there. So let's see how it look like. I go to my download, then Eclipse here, then open this Eclipse. Right. So, and recommendation of your memory from my side is I recommend 8 GB. Keep 8 GB your RAM if you want to work with Java EE technologies and with comfort, and keep this RAM. Here once you will open first time, it will say you that where is my workspace or where I create workspace. So workspace is one area or one folder where you create more than one project. So by default your workspace will be your user. My user is networks, and then create a workspace. You create workspace on any place, D drive, E drive, create workspace with your name or with your technology name. Suppose you are going for the training of Java, you create a workspace dash J2EE training, whatever you want, create it. And if you click this link, next time you will not be asked about this path, it will directly go to the path what you create. So here I say for me, create workspace on your my users folder. Let it be open. My memory of my laptop is 16 GB, and still you see time is taking to open this. Welcome screen is there, just close it. So this is your Eclipse environment. We need to set up some things for any workspace. If you are going to change workspace, just set up something. What are these things? These are your server's path and your Java path. So go to Windows, Preferences. Here is your Java. Installed Java runtime environment, JRE. It is taking from the system automatically that my Java is here. How it is taking, that I show you. Then I come back here. Properties, here. Advanced system setting, environment. Here I have told Java home. Java home is this. So you need to create one Java home here, new Java underscore home, and path of your Java main directory. The benefit of this, that without Eclipse you can compile Java code and add the bin path of this folder into your path. This is path. At the end, add semicolon d:\Java 7. See, I remember that my Java is here. If you put your Java in program space files, then Java, then JDK, like that, it is very difficult. So this is d:\Java bin and press OK. So you will see path over there. Same for the Tomcat, you create Tomcat home and just put d:\tomcat 8. No need for set the path of the Tomcat, only just create Tomcat home. Type OK. That if you are going to work or compile Java file without Eclipse, then you need to set up this program, properties, advanced system, environment variable, then here system variable, Java home and Tomcat home, plus set the bin folder path of Java. Verify it. Here open your command java -version. Enter. It will say Java 1.7.1 update 71. So you can compile your code here. Let's go back to your Eclipse, Windows, Preferences. Now this is JRE, Java Runtime Environment. We need to set Java Development Kit because we are going to develop Java programs. So remove it, add standard virtual machine, then directory name. Again, I remember where is my Java, so I directly entering here. I know Java 7. It will give you full detail here. Name it whatever you want. I put it Java 7 and then finish it. So select this one. This is one setting. Second is your servers runtime environment. Add. Here are different versions. See, basic Apache. You are not going to see any Wildfly or Tomcat JBoss version here. That I tell how to set it. Here is your version 8 of Tomcat. Select next. I know my Tomcat is here, d:\tomcat 8, and select it Java 7 which you created. Finish. Now we are ready. This is our setup for particular workspace which we created. Windows, Preferences, see here runtime environment. Now if you want to add more server like Wildfly, click add. We don't have any Wildfly server here. Just download additional server. We need to wait here. Here it will bring some other servers, available servers here. Wait and watch which server it is bringing. This is JBoss application server tools. This is we need to add. Click next, accept it, finish, OK. Now if we are going to add, some problem is here, and let me add again. In fact, no problem is here. It is installing. See here, it is installing. It will take some time to install these. Let's wait until it installs. Once installation is complete, it will say you need to restart Eclipse. So we need to restart the Eclipse. Click yes. So if you want to avoid that Eclipse doesn't go every time for checking any updates, it will annoy you if your internet is not working. So go to Preferences, General, and click here Startup and Shutdown. Uncheck these all. Otherwise you will annoy once internet is not working and your Eclipse is taking some time to load it. Just uncheck and click OK. So now we see, is it any JBoss or Wildfly is there. Preferences, servers, runtime environment. See here your JBoss community. JBoss middleware and JBoss community. So we will go for the community, and this is your Wildfly server 8.x, 8.1, 8.0, 8.2, any server you can add here. Let me see. Next, where is your Wildfly folder? So I think we cancel it right now. We will only focus on Tomcat. Once we are going for advanced technologies of J2EE, then we will again we will configure Wildfly from here. But remember, you need to download something, that was the your JBoss application server tools, which we have already downloaded. That's all for the configuring your Eclipse. Now your Eclipse is ready for your J2EE servlet code. But we see what are the directory structure and servlet structures are there. So this is our servlet hierarchy. You know, anything, any class in your Java is in fact an object, because it belongs to object class. So everything in Java is an object. So this is your HTTP servlet class. It extends generic servlet. Then we have HTTP servlet request, which just handle the request, HTTP request which we studied earlier. And we have HTTP servlet response, which is your handling of your response from server, which is a response sent to client. So anything which server sent to client or servlet sent to client will be handled through HTTP servlet response, and anything which servlet receive from client, it will be handled by HTTP servlet request class. And what the servlet is, any class, any of your class which will extend HTTP servlet, it will call your Java servlet class, your own class. So we see how this class, if you write any code, it is deployed on your web server, structure of web server directory. It is our root where we deploy our application. In Tomcat I show you some root of the Tomcat, but once we are in our project, we will see one directory, that is webinf, web information. Under webinf we have a lib, we have classes, we have tag directory. So any custom tag we create, our own tag, it will go here. Any of the Java code, compiled Java code, it will go into the classes. Any outside external libraries which needed for our application, it will go into lib. And all of your web XML and your other configuration, it will go under web.xml. So this is web descriptor file for your Tomcat. Here at the same level of where webinf is there, we will have some JSP pages, HTML static pages, whatever resource you are going to hit through your request, that will be in your JSP pages. So let's see, we have Tomcat, I think here. In Tomcat directory, there is one directory, web apps. Any application which you create and run on a standalone Tomcat, it will deploy here under web app. Suppose this is one example is one web application, name is example, it has webinf, then it has classes, these are mandatory folders. Then we have lib, all library which we needed will go here. If we have tags, it will go here, tag file. And this is your web XML file. It contains description of your web application. See how we create this, we will see shortly in our practical demo how it works. So anything which your application, any of your application is going to deploy, it will go into your web app folder. If I create some other application here, I will create one folder and put my application here. with this directory structure. Let's see, let's create one new project. This is our first project of servlet. File, new, dynamic web project. Write first project name. I am writing first PRJ. This is my project name. This will be my application name as well. We have already configured our server. If we didn't configure server from our Windows, which was the first step when I open the workspace, then we can create new target runtime from here. It will open same window, and you can configure your Tomcat here. This is latest module dynamic web. Then click next. This will be source folder name, build/classes. This is compiled. This path will contain your compiled file. Generate web XML, and web content will be the folder of your Eclipse, which will contain your web related resources. These resources, this web, all will come under web content, and source will be a separate folder which will compile your Java code servlet and put it here. It will put it here. I'm going to finish it. Just taking some time. So project is created. See its structure. Open a project. This is Java resources. Here we will create our Java files. This is your web content, web inf, .inf. This is here. It is empty because we haven't created anything. We didn't include an external library. So these library might be email configuration library, database connectivity, anything which is external and we need in our project or application, we will put it here. See the web.xml. Go to source. This is saying the welcome web app, welcome file. It means if you have any of these file, you directly hit the project URL. Any of these file will open directly. I say I have default.jsp, default.htm, default.html. Any of the file you created with this name, you have no need to enter the file name. It will automatically open this. Otherwise we need to give the resource name to access it. So this is empty. And now next step is here, server. We need to add server here. Suppose we don't have it here, server. Then under Windows, show view, server. It will come here. Click on server. Which server we created? Apache Tomcat version 8. We have already configured it. Now we are going to include in our workspace, and this is the application we are going to deploy. First app, first project, finish. This is deployed. If you want to see where it is, if you are thinking that you have Tomcat on D drive and project will be here, no, you are wrong. This will only happen once you are going to run Tomcat from outside of Eclipse. If you are using Eclipse, then you have give this responsibility to Eclipse that save it where you want. So go to here, debug configuration, and I think we have here, should be here, Apache Tomcat, sorry, Tomcat here, new, it should here, I think. Let me run it one time. Run configuration. Let me run the server once, then I can see that where it is going to save it. This is how we run. Click here, run. Let me see once again. Yes, now it generated. Under the arguments, where here debug mode, debug configuration. Under the arguments, this is the path, deploy. So it create a path for its own management. So I go to this path, web apps, and it generated here first project, meta-inf, web-inf. I haven't created any of the resources, so only empty something is there. Web-inf, lib is empty, classes is empty, nothing is there. Let's go and create some servlet. I am not going to create any JSP. We are only working with servlet, so I am going to create some servlet. So I hope you are familiar with Java standards of packages. We create package and then we manage our classes under those packages. So here I said right click, new package. So I say create a package with name com dot, we are going some training, or I say VU Academy dot training dot servlet. So you know what are these hierarchy of this? We first create a project name, the project type, that it is a commercial project, organizational project. Mostly we write com. Then we say organization this project belongs to, or this from which organization this project belongs to. We say com dot VU Academy, Virtual Ubiquitous Academy dot project. What is your project? This is our training. Then we will say servlet. Okay, here our servlet will be saved. So if you have project your own company ABC, then you say com.abc, and you are going for ERP project, you will say com.abc.erp and then servlet. So I say com.vuacademy.training.servlet, finish. This package is here. Here I will create one servlet. Right click, new servlet. Where? If you can directly browse this, okay, or go here, new servlet, it will fill for you automatically this thing. Here your servlet name, I say my servlet is first servlet. This is my servlet name. Here is my source folder, here's my package name, here's my class name which will extend to HTTP servlet. Let me go back to the slide and I show you this hierarchy. HTTP servlet, this is the servlet I am going to extend my first servlet. So my first servlet is extending to HTTP servlet. Next, this is name from which you want to access from outside the world. You can put any name. Right now we only saying that first servlet is fine for me. These are, see here, do post, do get, do delete, do trace, do put, do option, do head. What are these? Remember, these are your type of request. Whatever request you are going to handle, just override those functions. Let me go back to the slide. Here, get, head, post. So we have do get, do head, do post, do put, do delete, do connect, do option and do trace here. These are here. So see, by default two are here, do get and do post. So I told earlier that only these two are common. We use these two only, do post and do get. I am going to finish it. If I will unselect only class will be created, nothing else. So I said okay, only these two. These do get and do post method are method of HTTP servlet, so we are going to override these method. So let's see, this is created. Let me close this outline and task list. We can bring it back from here, show view, all are here. Double click here, it will see web servlet. This is annotation, this is called annotation. So we are going to configure this servlet with this name. This is the name. We will access this servlet with first servlet. If you put your name, then you will access with your name. First servlet is my class. It is going to extend HTTP servlet. If I click on HTTP servlet, you will see HTTP servlet, it extending generic servlet. So this is what slide was saying. HTTP servlet is extending to generic servlet, and generic servlet directly extending to object. It means generic servlet has no superclass other than object. So this is your constructor of first servlet. It's calling, it's a super constructor. Then here we have do get and do post. So anything which, any page, HTML page which containing a form, that will be handled by do post. Otherwise request will be handled by do get. So I write here how we will send back the response. We have a response object here, do get HTTP request, we have request object and we have response object. I am going to create a response for my client, and I want to say that write something over there. I say response dot get writer. It will write something on client. So it is giving us object of print writer. So I am going to create print writer. Just click control space. You will see that class is imported here, java.io.printWriter. It is here. So what this line is doing, this line is creating a write object for our client. So whatever we are going to write on the client side, or what the response we are going to send back to the client, it will written through this object. So I say write dot print I am from server. That's all, nothing else. I'm going to write only this code. I just publish it. Here is the console. It will tell that any error or anything is there. So how we are going to access this? By default, your Tomcat is running on port 8080. Just double click this thing, and here you can see this Tomcat is running on 8282. My Tomcat, I changed my port with 8282. If you are going to use Skype, then maybe your port 8080 will not work. Then you need to change port 8080. Just double click this and change the port here. I'm using Eclipse, so sorry, I'm using Skype, so it means I cannot use that port. Either I need to quit Skype or I need to change the port here. So I'm going to access this. HTTP is my protocol. Then I will say local host colon 8282. I only hit it. If I hit, see 404. What is this? This is response from server, because I didn't access anything. What was this? This is the source 404. Indicate that request resource is not available. I didn't request any resource, So it is accessing by default some resource, maybe index dot something, so it is not there. What I want to access, I want to access first PRJ and then first servlet. So I will say first PRJ, then first servlet. Hit. Still it is not there. Maybe I need to stop this and then start the server. That is some problem with Tomcat. Cleaning the project, running it. I am from server. Here is this. I am from server. So this call do get method. I am from server. Okay, now we want to write some HTML over there. Suppose I say header tag 1 h1. Let's see what it does. Will it write h1 or it will just print h1? If it will only print h1, then we need to set the content type. That should be HTML or CSS. I am from server. See, it has written. If you right click and then see view page source, you will see h1 and this thing. If in your case you see that no, it is only printing h1 as it is, instead of rendering it into HTML, then you need response dot set content type. That should be HTML/CSS. If you see that you have written some code and that code is appearing as it is, then you need to set the content type of your response. That response should be HTML/CSS. So it should be here. It should be text/HTML. Text/HTML, not text/CSS. So that's all for now. In next lecture we will see servlet in detail. Till that, Allah Hafiz. Have a nice day.